Hi, I'm Donna Fields, and I am here in collaboration with Vanessa Y. Rogers. I have a podcast called Doorways to Learning, and Vanessa has a podcast called Fabrics of Folktale, and we've come together and collaborated on something we are both passionate about, which are fairy tales, folk tales, legends, and it's called Fairy Tale Flip. And why? Because we flip the fairy tale on its back and look underneath and find its hidden meanings and give you a little history, things you may not have thought about. So every month we offer you 3 fairy tales. You get to vote on which one we talk about. And this month I get to read one called The Smith and the Devil. And I really like this because someone once told me that everyone, no matter who they are, deserves a smile, whether you believe that or not. I'd love you to let me know. And in this story, the devil, it's called the devil, and so usually has a very negative connotation. Even if someone is called the devil, does that being deserve respect or not? You tell me once you listen to this story. You ready? Sit back and relax. Once upon a time, there was a smith who had a son 6 years old, a sturdy and sensible lad. One day, the old man was going into the church and stood in front of a picture of the Last Judgment. And he saw there was a devil painted there, so terrible, so black, with horns and tail. What a fine devil, he thought. I'll go and paint such a devil for myself in my smithy. So he sent a painter and told him to paint on the doors of the smithy a devil who should be exactly the same as the one he had seen in the church. And this was done. From this time forward, the old man, whenever he went into the smithy, always looked at the devil and said, "Hail, fellow countrymen." And soon after, he would go up to the forge, light the fire, and set to work. So he went on living for some 10 years on most excellent terms with the devil. Then he fell ill and died. His son succeeded him and took over the smithy, but he had no such respect for the devil as his father had had. Whether he went early to the smithy or not, nothing prospered, and instead of greeting the devil kindly, he went and took his very biggest hammer and knocked the devil 3 times on his forehead and then sent to work. When a holy feast day came, he went into the church and lit a taper in front of the saints. But as he approached the devil, he spat on him. For 3 whole years this went on, and every day he greeted his unclean spirit, the devil, with a hammer and spat on him. The devil was very patient and endured all this maltreatment. At last it became beyond bearing, and he could stand it no longer. Time is up, he thought. I must put an end to such contemptuous treatment. So the devil turned himself into a fine lad and came into the smithy. "How do you do, uncle?" he said. "Very well, thank you. Will you take me into the smithy as an apprentice? I will heat your coals and will blow the bellows." Well, the smith was very glad. "I certainly will," he said. "2 heads are better than 1. So the devil turned apprentice, and he lived a month with him, and soon got to know all of the smith's work better than the master himself. And whatever the master could not do, the devil instantly carried out. Oh, it was a fine sight. And the smith so grew to love him and was so content with him, I cannot tell you how much. One day, the smith did not go into the smithy, and he left his underling to do the work, and it was all done. Once, when the master was not home and only the workman was left in the smithy, the devil, he saw an old rich lady passing by. He bobbed his head to her and cried, "Hail there! There's new work to be done and folks to be turned into young." Out skipped the old lady from her barouche and into the smithy. "What are you saying you can do? Is this really true? Do you mean, are you mad?" she asked the boy. "No reason to start lecturing me," the evil spirit answered. "I didn't know how I should not have summoned you." "What will it cost?" the rich woman asked. "It will cost 500 rubles. "Well, there's the money. Turn me into a young woman." The evil spirit took the money and sent the coachman into the village to get 2 buckets of milk. And he seized the lady by the legs with the pincers, threw her into the forge, and burned her all up. Nothing but her bones were left. When the 2 tubs of milk came, he emptied them into a pail, collected all the bones, and threw them into the milk. Lo and behold, in 3 minutes, out the lady came, young. Yes, alive and young, and so beautiful. She went and sat down in the barouche and drove home and went up to her husband, and he fixed his eyes on her and didn't know his wife. "What's the matter? Have you lost your eyesight?" the lady asked. "Don't you see it is I, young and stately? I don't want to have an old husband. Go at once to the smith and ask him to forge you young, and you won't know yourself." What could the husband do? Husbands must obey, and so off he drove. In the meantime, the smith had returned home and went to the smithy. He went, and there was no sign of his man. He looked for him everywhere, asked everybody, questioned them, but it was no good. All trace had vanished, so he set to work by himself and began hammering. Then the husband drove up and said straight out to the smith, "Make a young man of me, please." "Are you in your senses, master? How can I make a man of you, a young man of you?" "Oh, you know how to." "I really have no idea." "Liar! Fool! Swindle! Why, you turned my old woman into a young one. Do the same by me, otherwise your life won't be worth living." "But I have not seen your wife." "Never mind. Your young man saw her, and he understood how to manage the work. Surely you, as the craftsman, understand. Set to work quickly, unless you want to taste the worst of me and be birched." So the smith had no choice but to transform the master. So he quietly asked the coachman what the man had done with the lady and thought, "Well, I don't mind. I'll do the same. It may come out to be the same tune or not. I must look out for myself." So he stripped the lord to the skin, clutched his legs with the nippers, threw him into the forge, began to blow up the bellows, and burned him into ashes. Afterwards, he threw the bones, hurled them into the milk, and began watching. Would a young master emerge from the bath? And he waited an hour, and another hour, and nothing happened. He looked at the little tub. All the little bones were floating about, all burned to pieces. And what was the lady doing? She sent messengers to the smithy. When was the master to be turned out? And the poor smith answered that the master had wished her a long life. And you may imagine what they thought of this. Soon she learned that all the smith had done had been to burn her husband to bits, and not to make him young, and she was very angry indeed. She sent her servants and ordered them to take the smith to the gallows. The order was given, and the thing was done. The attendants ran to the smith, laid hold of him, and took him to the gallows. Then the same young man who had acted as a hand to the smith, the devil, came and asked, "Where are they taking you, master?" "They're taking me to hang," the smith said, and he explained what had happened. "Well, never mind, uncle," said the unholy spirit. "Swear that you will never strike me with your hammer, and I will secure you such honor as your father had. The lady's husband shall arise young and in full of health." The smith swore and made oath that he would never raise the hammer on the devil and would give him every honor. Then the workman ran to the smithy and soon returned with the husband, crying out to the servants to stop and not hang the smith, for there the master was. He then untied the ropes and set the smith free. And the youth thereafter never more spat on the devil and beat him with a hammer, but his workman, who was the devil, vanished and was never seen again. The master and mistress lived on and experienced good in their life, and they're still alive if they're not dead. That's the story. Oh my goodness, I really do like it. So tell me what you think, please. So let us know if you'd like us to unpack this fairy tale or the other two that Vanessa is reading. They're both going to be in my YouTube channel and in her YouTube channel as well. So can't wait to see you at the end of the month. For more fairy tale flip insights like this one, please press like and subscribe.